Alright, you guys are live. So. You have to start this second. This should be good.
You're doing that.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, just if you can tell me the best practices, I don't. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it was so cool. Yeah, even though it did not pertain to people that are awesome. They're like doing a flower design now.
Okay, we are live, I believe. Guess we'll get started then, and we'll let people trickle in. But yeah, thank you for attending our workshop. We are hoping to provide to you a lot of information for farms about different buying opportunities, such as for selling to institutions or to food assistance programs, and some other technical assistance opportunities we have for farms to help meet the needs of those buyers. So here's a little sneak preview into what we're hoping to accomplish today. We would like to do a discussion on wholesale. So what does it mean to scale up your business? What kind of things are buyers looking for? And what kind of things might you be considering as a farm if you're looking to scale up your operation? So we're hoping to do a little bit of discussion with folks here today, do a little bit of a brainstorm on this. So do welcome your participation in all of that, and we'll be hoping to do some note-taking on that as well. So since we are live, just remember to speak up while you're in the audience for those remote folks who are joining us. Then we want to do a quick preview of these opportunities that I was hinting at. We've got a couple of different experts in the room on those. So we'll give you a quick preview, and then under bullet 3, we're hoping to actually just break out into small groups at the end so we can do a deeper dive with anyone who has questions on those more specifically. But before we dive in, I just wanted to give a little introduction, allow the folks here that are helping us present today just to introduce ourselves briefly. So my name is Karen. I work at the Washington State Department of Agriculture and our Regional Markets Program, which I'll explain more about what we do a little bit later, but I'll also let our panelists mention who they are as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Annette Slonim. I am also with the Washington State Department of Agriculture. I work on our Farm to School team. I am the Farm to School Purchasing Grant Specialist.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Garden and I work for the Department of Agriculture as well in our food assistance programs, and I am a food assistance specialist.
So a little bit more higher level, just kind of introduction to WSDA and some of the initiatives we have going on right now for anyone that might know. So tying it back to our broader goals here as an agency, we are focused on full service regulation and advocacy with the goal of both supporting viability and vitality of agriculture while also protecting consumers and public health and the environment. And we do this in numerous different ways. We have lots of different programs that are helping to support this mission. But in particular, there has been additional legislative focus on these efforts. And initiative is called Focused on Food, and this is one of the director's focuses. And it's really about trying to link food and agriculture, understanding both our urban and rural landscape, and knowing that food is grown, produced, and processed in our state brings both diversity in our communities together, while also sustaining us nutritionally and economically. So this is a broader effort that's helped to tie in some of the opportunities that we'll be talking about today. This is one poster that was developed to help kind of elevate and to bring that vision to life. And what we are focused more on as well, so there's this overarching primary objective to provide safe and nutritious supply of food and support a healthy and thriving Washington population. And this was established in support of the 2021 and 2023 biennium budget. And a lot of the opportunities that you'll see coming out of this are really focused on goal number 1, which is about supporting the economic viability in particular of both farms and also the communities that we serve, and with a lens of making sure that we're doing a good effort to prioritize historically underrepresented farms, ranchers, including women, minority, and small business owners. So it's really, I see it as kind of a two-pronged effort. We're hoping to help farms create markets, but also to make sure that our communities are well fed. And then I work for the WSA Regional Markets Program, and this program focuses on these topics specifically. Small farm support, we do this in a variety of different ways, so those different bubbles that you're seeing here between technical assistance, resources, partnerships and promotions, we do all of that. That's kind of the big umbrella that we work under. So some of you may be familiar with our work in Farm to School, or with small farm direct marketing, creating resources for how do I sell different products, how do I get started with my business, and how do I understand what I need to abide by, or what kind of regulations do I need to know about. So we help with all of that and being a liaison for communities. And I wanted to acknowledge also Cheryl Throton from Cloud Mountain Farm Center. She helped to contribute to this presentation in a big way. So she has both a farm and buyer perspective and has been working in this region for a long time. And she was involved with a project related to wholesale buying, where they surveyed farms and buyers, all kinds of buyers you imagine, retail, institutions, grocery stores, and a lot of the findings that she pulled from that report we're going to speak to today. So I wanted to acknowledge their involvement there, and we'll be providing more information on that. So before we kind of dive more into, I want to make this a little more open discussion. I want to hear from you guys. But before I do that, I do want to kind of frame it in a lot of the opportunities that we're discussing today are kind of rooted in the knowledge that there were a lot of disruptions to the supply chain due to COVID and the pandemic, and a lot of the research we do is kind of born out of knowing that there's this shift in market. So I'm curious, by a raise of hands, anyone in the room who maybe saw a change in like their markets and who they were selling to as a response to COVID. Okay. Did anyone look into doing more wholesale purchases or selling? Okay. And anyone who maybe is interested in that, maybe why you may be here for some of those opportunities. Well, this diagram here shows that there was a shift in market. So WSU did research in collaboration with University of Washington did study in collaboration with WSDA to track some of this change in market. So real briefly, at the top of the graph on the left, you'll see how direct to consumer markets increased quite a bit. The red bars there are markets that have stopped. So at the bottom, I think as you guys probably know, farmers markets, there was a big hit to that, as well as direct to restaurants as well. And there was an increase in, food hubs, on farm, a lot of those could be bucketed into a wholesale. So I do want to hear a little bit from folks in the room, kind of see where your interest is. See if, it's kind of like a little mini challenge to see if the evidence that we found in Cheryl's report kind of meets the general feeling of those in the room as well. So I'd love to get a sense, and we're going to take some notes here on this as well. But for anyone that's considered selling wholesale or even tried to consider selling into a different market, what is your sense here of what wholesale buyers might want? Yeah.
Sales history?
So the comment there was sales history. Yeah.
Consistent product availability?
Consistent product availability, yeah, definitely knowing what is gonna be the consistent product that's available, potentially, maybe size of the product, grading. Other thoughts, yeah.
So just like food safety standards, like especially from like a food hub perspective, they like to have like multiple farms that all have a certain standard that if they buy from you, you can always meet that baseline.
Yeah, definitely food safety standards, yeah.
They're gonna wanna see some kind of insurance, liability insurance,
Liability insurance,
and they're also probably gonna wanna see delivery.
delivery,
They don't
like,
wanna drive out to your farm to pick up their couple boxes.
so they might ask for delivery from the farm, or some sort of expectations around that potentially, like what is being in communication about that for sure. Yeah,
Tiered pricing?
tiered pricing. So offering different options for different product types or
Or like
Great.
quantities?
for quantities, okay,
Pricing based on quantity.
pricing based on quantity. Yeah,
I was going to say labor. Depending on the type of wholesale buyer, we're seeing, especially institutions, are leaning more on a supply chain that is, kind of the grab and go format. So, because they don't want to put a lot of labor costs into further preparation of the product.
okay, so, like ready to go almost for the consumer too, is that what you're?
Well, I'm just thinking about like hospitals and schools that, they because their budgets are so limited, they don't have extra labor costs to put into further processing food.
So some maybe pre-processed.
Yeah,
food,
kind of a
right?
grab and go format more.
A grab and go format, yeah, we're definitely seeing that as well. Yeah,
Marketing support?
marketing support. And then we see also folks kind of collaborating on that. Sometimes there's an opportunity to kind of promote each other between buyer and farm. And that can help to drive that local buying priority. Okay. Well, so like I was mentioning, the Cheryl Thornton from Cloud Mountain Farm Center, as well as some other partners, actually did a report on this topic, and it was called Scaling Up for Wholesale. And so I just wanted to run through some of the evidence that they found with this project to kind of, check what if this kind of falls in line with some of the thoughts that were in the room for this. So availability and seasonality. So thinking about what you have when. I know a big aspect that came out of the study was a focus on crop planning. So as much as possible being in communication about what you're planning to grow or potentially collaborating upfront about that. By local commitment, so that frequently might be the incentive for why a distributor might be purchasing from a local farm, that they can be communicating that forward to their consumer. Certainly costing and pricing, quality, so we had the mention of quality with food safety, but that could also come into play with kind of grading and standards. Consistency, product volume for sure. Trust, so having a good relationship. Inventory management could come into play with knowing where your product is. This could play into traceability, what have you. Pricing and size, we definitely hit on that early on. Delivery, we talked about delivery, so having I guess not just knowing what the delivery plan is, but a backup plan in the event that something goes wrong. Maybe barcode, that could play into traceability. And a little bit more food safety topic too. So just wanted to give you guys a snapshot of what we're seeing locally on this topic. And then the other question that we also asked, they also asked in the study, does to the buyer, what does your buyer purchase plan look like? So here are some of, we saw like really a wide range of results with this, from really informal to more formalized. So some said no formal plan, so maybe just a handshake and an agreement verbally. In other cases, they actually sat down with the growers in advance. And what this study was showing, that it might be helpful to actually be collaborating with multiple growers and a buyer to be on the same page so that everyone's not growing the same thing. Or if there is a high demand for a particular product, maybe there's an intersection of all of that so that there's a consistent product. Another finding is the expectations from buyers is 60% crop planning and 40% seasonality. So recognizing that there may be some variability with that, as you all know. There can be climate or other unintended impacts affecting volume of outcome. Food trends as well. This study focused on kind of 10 common crops that are frequently requested kind of at a wholesale distributor level. But if there's a crop that is trending, that could also play into it as well. And that can be a feature at a retail or grocery store, for example. Historical numbers, what have the volumes been in the past? And then, what is the how sustainable is this kind of long-term based on the relationship? So we also kind of wanted to hear from you guys as well. And this is gonna really feed into the programming we're just about to talk about and some of the opportunities. We wanna make sure that's all kind of in alignment. So we're curious to hear, now you've kind of gotten that snapshot of what buyers are looking for. For farmers in the room, what are you feeling are your stop gaps or maybe challenges? Or what do you need help with in kind of meeting the standards that wholesale buyers are setting? Yeah,
Access to distribution.
access to distribution. And we've got some teaser themes here too, if you guys need a little help with brainstorming. Does anyone ever find challenges around trying to create a crop plan or having communication, like how to have that conversation with a buyer about what you grow and what you plan to grow? Yeah.
I find more just communication hurdles or awkwardness in like, hey, who is the right person to talk to about this? Which days do I need to reach them? At what time? So I'm not bothering them or getting in the middle of their flow, but like figuring out, because each wholesale account will have a different point person and a different process and a different way. So communication in general.
Yeah, who to speak to, when, sometimes there's sensitivity around that.
Totally.
And like the seasonality plays coming into play as well.
Should I hit them up before the season so that I'm ready to go, or is it like once I have product available that week, or how does that?
Yeah, definitely. Any other communication challenges people can think of?
What about education for the buyers? Like, how can you convince them that they should buy from you rather than a wholesale distributor?
Right. So the comment there, in case others didn't hear, potentially needing some education on the buyer, for the buyers, and maybe that plays into marketing the product as well. Helping them to tell your story, helping them to tell the message of what you grow and why, and what makes it unique, maybe what makes it unique to this area, why in particular this variety, or what nutrition or other value add a product might bring. So value add doesn't always just need to be a processed product. There's value add that other foods can bring too, that you can help to market. Yeah.
Social media help?
Has anyone ever seen a buyer helping to support in that way?
Definitely not wholesale buyers.
I've had good experience with that. I've posted and tagged my wholesaler, and they'll repost my stuff, which felt great and surprising.
So maybe there's an opportunity, the comment there was including the buyer in a post or comment and then not getting reposted. So that can be an easy way to kind of duplicate or replicate or elevate a voice that's already out there. I love that. Post-harvest practices and infrastructure. This one is a topic of interest to me working in the produce safety arena. We've kind of found that this continues to be a topic of interest. I'm curious if that resonates with anyone in the audience, needing either infrastructure support or just understanding of how to maintain quality and food safety at this point in the process. Does that resonate to anyone? Any particular challenges or equipment that they wish they had, things like that? This also plays into that value add processing as well. Needing that convenience for certain buyers, what have you. Distribution, logistics, we've kind of touched on the delivery aspect as well. Sometimes, food hubs and what have you can also be that plug to help provide some of those delivery options to get to unique or specific markets and buyers in the region. So that can help to be a resolution point. Business infrastructure, cash flow, planning. We will be talking about some business support services. So if this is a topic or area of interest, how to better set pricing for a wholesale buyer, for example, that might be different from your direct-to-consumer buyers. We'll be talking about options around that. So one place to start, if this is somewhere a topic of interest, I would definitely recommend the report. We just put a couple of slides here on some of the findings, but this report with Cloud Mountain, NABC, and Sustainable Connections some of you maybe in the room may have been involved with this and know even more in depth than I do. But speaking on Cheryl's behalf today, I would definitely recommend this for a deeper dive. You can find it on Cloud Mountain Farm Center website, and it's intended to be both kind of a photographic and detailed description of how to sell particular products to with a consideration for wholesale. So we definitely recommend you taking a look at that. So now we're going to transition a little bit to talk about some of the buying opportunities and technical assistance opportunities that are coming out of WSDA kind of in response to the COVID pandemic. So we're going to start with Annette telling us a little bit more about Farm to School.
So in the last legislative session, $5 million were allocated for this biennium, 2021-2023, to provide additional purchasing dollars for schools and childcare centers and summer meal programs to source Washington products. We're really excited about this opportunity. It's the result of long-time efforts and advocacy to really fulfill a need in the farm to school space, which is additional budget, additional purchasing power for schools to have the funds that they need to source local. Some of the goals around this program are to increase direct sourcing from a diverse set of Washington growers and producers. So really expanding farms that have access to these school markets. And then of course increasing the variety and volume of products that are sourced for use in child nutrition programs. The grant is being offered over 2 years, so year 1 is this school year 2 will be the next year. We're accepting applications now from districts and expect to make awards in early January, early in the new year. This is a really exciting opportunity for farms to get into the farm to school space. There are schools that have been doing local purchasing for a long time, but we also expect a lot of new schools to come online with this opportunity. So we'll be posting the awardees, the grantees for this new program, so that farms that are interested in accessing this market can reach out to schools and find out who has funds for this particular program. We also are encouraging farmers that are interested in wholesale opportunities to register with or create a listing or update your listing on the Washington Food and Farm Finder. We've worked really closely with the Local First Collaborative to design this wholesale directory specifically with school buyers and other institutional buyers in mind. So we've added a bunch of new fields that get at some of the things that they're really looking for when looking for products and farms. That's everything I will say for now, but as Karen mentioned, we're gonna break out into smaller groups. So if you are interested in Farm to School and this new opportunity, come meet with me and we'll talk a little bit more about kind of the nuances of selling into schools and institutions in more detail.
Yeah, thanks, Annette. So next, we want to hear from Nicole a little bit more about Farm to Food Pantry and Farm to Food Assistance work.
Perfect, thank you. So I just wanted to give you just an understanding of what we do at Food Assistance at the WSDA. We run 2 federal and 2 state programs, as well as an initiative and a projects from the federal projects. And my particular role is Farm to Community, and so I run the Farm to Food Pantry initiative, and this was started in 2014 as just a small pilot project in 3 counties, and since then it has grown substantially. I'd say in 2019, before the legislator gave us our first set of dedicated funding, we were passing through about $33,000 to hunger relief organizations, public agencies, and tribes. And now, as of this year, this biennium, we're providing about $250,000 in pass-through funding to these organizations. And what's really exciting right now is we are providing, for the first time, funding 30% of their allocation can be used for eggs, dairy, meat, and grains. And so that's really exciting, and it's a really great opportunity to plug in with your hunger relief organizations right now, because there is a grant right now opportunity that closes on the 30th of the month. And that grant allows those hunger relief organizations to partner directly with farmers to purchase wholesale product. Now, one great thing about this initiative is that it provides funding upfront in the beginning of the season, so those farmers can go ahead and make those, or those hunger relief organizations can go ahead and make those connections early in the season before you even plant to go ahead and help with that crop planting that Karen spoke about. So pretty exciting, and there's lots of different contracting structures. We have really a lot of flexibility with those contracting structures, but most organizations we work with have a CSA wholesale hybrid kind of model, so they provide that funding up front, and there's an understanding of what they will get throughout the year. So if you're interested, I have some information here when we are doing the breakout of how to connect with those organizations, and if you are a nonprofit yourself, that might be a great opportunity as well.
And did you have anything else to say on the TFAP or?
Yeah, so TFAP is one of our federal food assistance programs. So through that program, we get USDA commodities and funding. So we provide funding to those food pantries. We reach about 500 food pantries throughout the state and meal programs. And so in 2018, in the Farm Bill, there was this provision for the Farm to Food Bank projects. One thing to note is it's very different from Farm to Food Pantry where it's a purchasing pilot. It is actually specifically to reduce food waste. So it is all about donated product. So in the past, we have only allowed TFAP organizations to, one of our lead contractors to apply for this grant, but this year we are opening up to more organizations, including gleaning organizations, as long as they're a 501c3 nonprofit, a public agency, a tribe, and let's see, that is specifically for donated products. So this year what we've done is we've actually opened it up so we can pay farmers for their harvesting and processing costs. So that's a really exciting new addition to that. And so it's just something to keep in mind if you have a previous relationship or if you do provide donated product to hunger relief organizations to talk to them about it and talk to them about this opportunity. And that grant will be open December 1st and it will run for 2 months.
Does it apply to other perishables like flowers?
No, it's definitely directed to food. And if you want more information on that, I can talk to you about that when we go to tabling.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. So another project that I want to relay is an effort, so coming back to that like mission that I was talking about earlier and this emphasis on feeding Washington communities with the food that's grown in Washington. There is a pilot program called We Feed Washington. This program was developed after a USDA Farm to Food Box program contract ended in May, and there was a gap in the distribution of food to emergency food system networks, and so many different people came together to resolve this hunger gap with a pilot program to work directly to contract with distributors and wholesalers to provide more food to hunger relief organizations with an emphasis on trying to serve underrepresented communities, socially disadvantaged communities, and in particular trying to be that like final or last mile delivery for communities that may not be served as well through some of the traditional hunger relief networks. So working, for example, with other nonprofit organizations that may be in connection with communities that are needing extra food during this pandemic time. So this has been a big lift, a big effort that has been funded legislatively. So you see here, $45 million for the biennium of 2022 to 2023. This is kind of a one-time funding source. So again, this is a pilot that we're testing out now. So there'll be like a 2 years of this project. So we're we're basically in year one of this. And so distributor contracts have been selected for this. So what that means for farms is there may be opportunities to increase opportunities to sell through distributors that have received these contracts. There will also be, so those were accomplished through a request for proposal process. And next year that will open again around April with a July start date for the following year. So if you're wanting to track that as a potential candidate, you can be doing so. There is information on WSDA's website about this program. And I think that's all that I wanted to relay on that. Certainly if there are questions or if you're interested in it, we can help to funnel those to the folks that are involved with this program. Let's see, so another opportunity that I'm super excited about is a WSDA Regional Markets program where we're contracting with Business Impact Northwest as a consultant to provide business services to farms across Washington State. This is funded by a specialty crop block grant. It's going to be a 2-year project where we will bring in a cohort of 25 farms each year to get some more directed assistance, because what we were hearing is that farms have specific business questions that may not get answered at a training or via a resource, for example, that they're wanting more one-on-one assistance, and so that's what we're hoping to provide with this. So in addition to one-on-one coaching, there will be additional professional services offered. So things like sales and marketing, branding, financial planning, loan assistance. A lot of these skill sets are the bread and butter of Business Impact Northwest and something that they've been doing for a while, and this is an opportunity to expand services statewide. The programming will be available virtually in Spanish and also in English, so we encourage Spanish-speaking farms to get involved as well. And so since things are remote, we hope that this will help provide good access for people. The application window is open now, and we have an information session coming up, so tag me if you're interested in that. The piece that I'm super excited about is I will be helping out as a produce safety coach with this project as well. So after you talk with Business Impact Northwest as a farm and you identify that you want to sell into markets that are requiring GAP, you can elect to become part of a produce track. And if any of those participants seek GAP certification during the time period of the program, then we're going to help to reimburse your GAP audit if you elect to go with a USDA GAP audit. So super excited about that. I hope people will learn more and decide to apply if that appeals to you. And I also wanted to mention that Business Impact Northwest is in the room. Gabriella, she's one of the coaches. If you wanted to say hi to folks. We will, in our breakout rooms, you can come and speak to either of us.
So for the next few slides, we're just going to talk briefly about a couple other grants that were made possible through by the legislature over the next 2 years to support local food systems. The first is a new meat and poultry processing and inspection grant. It's a total of $3.6 million over the next 2 years, and grants will be grants will be offered twice, once this year once in 2022 and again in 2023. The focus of this grant is on funding needs to provide access to meat and poultry processing and inspection, mobile units, and infrastructure to support retail sales of meat. These grants are still in development. We are bringing on a new staff member to support this effort as part of the regional markets team. And we're currently gathering stakeholder input from other entities to support the development of the program. So details are still being worked out, they're not yet finalized. But please let us know if you are interested in these grants and the types of things that you'd like to see with these opportunities. We welcome your input. That's it for this one. And then, thanks Karen. So another set of grant funding. These are, one grant is to support infrastructure to improve support supply chain infrastructure and market access for farms, food processors, and food distributors. So similar to the one prior, these grants are still in development. We're still figuring out exactly what the design of these are going to look like. And the second one is a local supply chain and market access grant, and this one is prioritized for women, minority, and small business owners. Both of these grants are one-time grants. And we're thinking, some of the things that we're still thinking through with these are the type and the size of the grants, what type of technical assistance is needed and would be provided through the grant, and the relationship between the grant programs and purchasing efforts. We had a survey?
Yeah, and we got a question coming up, so I'll pull that up while we've got a comment question over here.
I just saw that you, on your local supply chain, grant there, it says that they're prioritized for certain groups. It seems like all grants are prioritized towards certain groups. And I was just curious if there are points awarded that grade them that way, or because last year I applied to a similar grant that was worded towards small businesses, which I am, and I feel like none of the winners of the grant were in that category. I don't know if anybody else has that type of experience, but in at least one experience, it says in the application, like, small business owners encouraged to apply, and all of the money goes to like nonprofit organizations, either because they're doing some different social good that a small business can't really engage with, or something. So I was just curious how like the point systems work to grade those, like, as small business owners trying to like build our businesses up and have a positive impact on our community. It seems like we're competing for like this money with much larger institutions with like hired grant writers, and just curious how the safeguards are to make sure that the money goes to the people that it's advertised to, so that I'm not spending 30 hours of relatively unexperienced time applying to a grant that I'm gonna wait 6 weeks to not add that money to my budget. Just curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Has anyone else had similar experiences? Because that would be helpful information for us to know. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that KCD, King Conservation District, has several grant programs, and it seems like all the money goes to nonprofits that help farms instead of to actual farms out there.
Yeah, in some cases, some grants will be specifically available only to nonprofit entities, but in other cases, certainly it sounds like there's some more transparency around what the grading criteria is on those processes. I'm not sure which specific ones you're speaking to for that scenario, so not able to provide specific details on to that. But yeah, really am curious on other people's experiences, because this is information we need to be communicating back, and that's part of why we also have this survey, which I'm gonna hear from folks first before I pitch that a little bit more. It seemed like there were some other raised hands. Okay, well, yes, please, again, do call for, if there are situations, just in terms of how decisions are getting decided, please let us know. With this funding that's coming through, we do need to be good advocates. We need to do our due diligence in making sure that we're providing services that are effective. So in particular, we'd love for you to respond to this survey and be willing to give you guys some time during this workshop time to complete it. If you have something that's not being heard, this would be one place to put it. In particular, with the 2 previous grant opportunities that Annette was speaking to, the meat processing and the infrastructure piece, there's a good chunk of change available to go more directly to growers versus just funneling through another institution or nonprofit, what have you. We're going to be hiring to help to make decisions around that, but it's still pretty open concept at this point. So we'd love to get your feedback via the survey for that, and that will help to influence the design of it. So feel free to come up and actually even take a picture of this QR code if that's helpful. There's about 8 questions in there. Some of them are open-ended and some of them are just multiple choice. Even just getting some of your quick responses on that, we'd really love and appreciate. Anything else, Miriam? So we still have about 30 minutes left in this session, and instead of kind of talking at you guys through this whole time, we wanted to actually do more breakout for a deeper dive on any of the 3 topics. So if you're interested in doing the survey, feel free to take some time right now to fill that out. What we also want to do, and I'll bring that up again. And same thing goes for anyone that's in the remote environment. But for us that are in the room, if you want to speak to us, so again, Annette's the go-to person for farm to school purchasing. Nicole, you can speak to about food assistance and the technical assistance opportunities. You can speak to me, and Gabriella is going to be with us too. If you want to talk more about what services we might be able to provide on that. So what we're going to do is we'll just come out to ask me. We'll go into different parts of the room, and then we can have small group conversations. How's that sound? And for anyone that wants to fill out the survey link, I'll bring that up too if you want to use this time for that. So yeah, go check out, come talk to us, learn a little bit more. And I'm up here once I pop this up. Yeah, we can bring chairs.
Yeah, farm to school, I guess there's space here, so if anyone wants to talk farm to school, I'll be here.
I mentioned earlier that
Farm to school, farm to
Paul,
food bank, and then pivoting to profit around
shouted out.
the development.
Yeah, well, Quinn is our project
be a bigger-
coordinator.
The one that is with NABC, or not
He's been
NABC,
holding,
the.
I mean, I feel like she said, yeah, let's chat. All right. See.
Well, I'll be here a little longer than I thought.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye. Are you gonna overnight or are you
I'm
gonna?
gonna stay until probably after.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I
so
won't stay for dinner.
they're the ones that are reaching out. Actually,
Yeah.
a fair way is
Yeah.
reaching out.
Are you,
Process too, so I'm gonna call.
Are you manager of the regional food system?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you struggling with that? Because you should.
Oh my gosh, it just looks so amazing and big and complicated.
So you're doing, as I tell David all the time, do not worry. Everything's completely out of control.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, which is why we need to chat in
Yeah.
part. There's been a little change within executive forum. So we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Love that.
Good.
Yeah.
That was great. I was telling Stephen that we should probably talk or
Yeah.
get the information because we just did something, I mean, very similar work up in Jefferson
Yeah.
County. And I think what we need to say is it's not, our assets like a food hub, but really looking at estimated and micro distribution. I mean, we're so in the same region. I would just love to go back to, Karen, right? Karen Yocca. She's the executive director there.
Oh,
Do you want to look at
no, I don't know her. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, but we're looking to kind of do something based on our findings. We had a planning grant.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's collaborate on something. Because I think, the region is in some ways so similar to where we were. Small isolated communities that are, low income. So I think we're an area.
That's brilliant. And we have so much, I mean, I remind Steve all the time, he's just doing such an amazing job about documenting. So
Yeah.
we have a lot to share.
Yeah, we're just about ready to finalize the final report, the funder. I'll make sure you guys get a copy. But I
Oh,
agree with
good.
you were so right. I mean, it's just like the efficiency of collaboration, especially with partners, and I think that we can totally benefit. We start to be like, oh, like the one-on-one loop, it's like a 2-lane highway, and like through some of your counties, and, so.
Oh, yeah, if you look at the drive out the Pacific from anywhere, there's no good way to get to Pacific no matter where you are.
Well, there's no good way to get to the bay.
Right. But like for us, so, it's pretty fun. I mean, that whole thing, I'm not even, I'm the guy that's like, okay, everybody, that sounds really cool, it's great, but, like, we can only do that for 4 weeks instead of 8, and it's costing us $150 a day to do this thing. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there's lots of opportunity.
Yeah.
I really like to connect our group, your group, and see what
Well,
it's just,
and my point, I think, was like that really what the catalyst for us was that workforce development council into that work, because then it was like, we got the labor that we, so, it's a big line item, right? So we got the labor that we really needed, but we were also at the same time providing the resource, right? And they came, like, they had fuel cards, like, not a lot, but, you know what I mean, like every little bit helps.
well, and I think that, like Collin County, kids got being the first, wholesale market opportunity. But the producers that we talked to are absolutely on scale that we're working with. And I think that if there's economy of scales, then maybe there's a way we can help you financially pencil out sales opportunities for producers. And again, we do have a really good micro distribution model out on the peninsula, the Key City Fish comes in them.
Yeah.
And then there's also another thing, like Astoria Food Hub, that's kind of coming up. And then what about the one in Vancouver?
2 mile or second mile. I think Diane's going to be here today. I'll talk to her more about it. I have a long. I believe so. Yeah, she's on the. She's going to present as part of something.
Yeah, it's just work with her and another project that I was involved in. I haven't seen her in ages in person, so I think.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, and then the Wallace Center is doing a whole thing on
Yeah.
food hubs right now, which is really interesting. And I know Elliot with Kitchen Sink, you guys kind of convinced with that.
Ish, like, yeah, a bit of a long story. I know who he is, I know what he does. We were working with him a little bit through, I was working with him, but mostly through a contractor that was work specific to networking food hubs and shared distribution models, and shared software, and shared APRs,
Yeah, no, I mean, there's so much going on, and there's such a huge need, and that's 20 million there, 650 billion there. It's like, I'm gonna get to keep working but yeah, so,
Every month, they can
Thank you. I'll do the same.
yeah, I'll do that.
Email.
I'm trying to think.
So there's nothing that you as a farm necessarily need to do as far as
I'm like, that's the director. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I've talked to her a few times, and I know we cross.
we do have
The Northwest. That was the one program that exposed us to Diana Investor.
Oh, well, and it's possible that I did. I mean, I've dropped in on so many calls in the past couple of years,
And this is gonna
or at
start.
least just even if only once from these
Yeah,
ABC
so actually
Great,
services.
they're gonna get, you guys are gonna get our gallon siding.
So I'm sure it's a small one.
Right? That can be possible,
Yeah.
right?
They might be talking about, they could get do it on
Be technical college.
So one thing to know,
Like not
one
those
thing that's a little bit different. One of the challenges with school districts is that they have to meet in some ways a more rigorous set of nutritional requirements. May or may not have experience, oftentimes they may need a product formulation statement or a child nutrition label, which is, these are like
Yeah,
things
so
that working with schools,
basically,
which
we have it in the department where we've got like a certain amount of funding.
we have some, you guys have probably seen these, but upstairs,
You get to like
this is kind of our
focus on really
we've got working with schools on like 101, where it's like, here are all the things to consider, which are gonna be different.
Hi, how are you?
Safety is probably a lot more of an intensive with the idea that if you're hoping to get certified in that coming year, then we wanna do the, he sent us work, take the advantage of that.
We have
He's got extra, we'll take
Yeah,
one.
but you guys
Right here.
take all of them, so there's 3 different ones.
Okay.
This is, so this is like,
You know all the stuff by heart, so you don't need it anyway.
More than it was actually very specifically.
yeah, this is more general, just like
I don't
USDA, what
do
is
that in my
it?
current
Like
presentation.
learning about school
Overview of
insurance.
general practices that I want to get more detailed in my training.
Yeah,
Be like,
and
okay,
then this comes from
here's
the
who's gonna come and
we
ask
also
you
have
on
Healthy
this
Weight
point
and
and this
Stairs.
point and this point.
That's our,
What is
Say,
the
how to
need?
sales and market your produce in a small
Do you think
farm.
that would be helpful for
Are you
folks?
looking?
so that's particular for schools and other institutions.
Okay.
But I would say that schools are.
Building the sales relationship, I like that.
Schools are unique.
What is it?
Everything from.
Okay,
Do you wanna, we don't
our,
have to round robin.
so in our world,
One of our biggest challenges been with schools is they often have like very, very small cold
they
storage
should be
space.
both.
Yes.
Very, very constrained, and then they're trying to operate and have raw food and prepared food and stuff all over, which, you know, we can't do, but they have to do logistically, right? And so that's, it's kind of an issue for
So yeah.
delivering, they need to have 5-day-a-week delivery for schools. You can't kind of do 2-day-a-week delivery. I think is one of the, what's been an issue for us, at least in the past, delivering schools, it's been bringing them apples, it's like we have to help. It has to be
Instead of doing one
5 days a week, yeah, or 3 days a week minimum, but they just don't have reserved space for a lot of stuff.
So another thing you guys might be interested in are the infrastructure grants. That WCCA is doing.
Well, I worked directly with you.
Okay.
So that goes out
Like I got
either or storage, right?
Yeah.
It's
There's a
not.
lot of money in
Is are these funds available for farms to be able to then meet the needs for schools, is that correct?
That could be, yeah, no, so the purchasing grant is specific to schools, no
Like Jewish
farms.
Family Services?
This is an infrastructure grant for farms.
There's probably
We have, it's not, it was funded for last, last session.
I don't know how they got their money,
We are
but
still,
they had money.
this is one of those programs.
probably, so,
So it's not available for applying, you know, when it'll be available?
Sometime in the next year.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in terms of like edible competitions, they're hot right now. Yeah.
That's great. Will it only cover new projects, right? It won't cover like, could you get a grant if you're applying for existing projects, like, yeah, cause that's something that's also important, like, to being able to apply for an infrastructure grant, if you're already working on the infrastructure and building it, like, you're already doing solar, and you gotta read grant wise, then you're being able to get another infrastructure grant to kind of take, you know, you've already got a loan and everything set up, and being able to apply for that infrastructure grant, so then you can get that cash burden off, and then you can be back to get more cash flow for the farm and the business, you know? I think that's something, because most businesses, they don't like wait for a grant and then decide if they need to do something if it's critical, they start doing the thing that's critical, and they need to be able to get grants to help them so then they can get back to cash flowing. I think a lot of grants are structured that way. They're structured, you're gonna do it once you say you got it, and most successful businesses, they don't wait. They have to keep moving. And so being able, if that was a thing that where you can just for existing projects you've done within the last, 36 months or something would be huge. Same impact, but a lot more assurance that you guys, because the project's already done. You already know it's done. So that you're just helping for funding the project, it's already done. You don't have to worry about a project, funding a project and not being completed, right?
these are great questions. The feedback that you're giving right now, I'll take back to the team and say, okay, here's what we heard at the conference, people want to be able to apply for this grant for existing projects.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, being able to also, infrastructure is the way, but like I feel like labor is also infrastructure. And so just being able to define, being able to set it up where you have physical infrastructure, but you also have digital infrastructure, and you have labor infrastructure, being able to scale your internal operations and being like, okay, I'm gonna get a grant so that I can get to cover 20 hours a week or whatever, or like a farm manager so that I can grow my operation and dedicate to planting more crops and developing my space. And I'm not gonna start getting my income back until maybe the fall and everything, but I've just like front loaded the cost of taking care of my grant in like a weekly reimbursement or monthly reimbursement or something. Like the work-share program was a really great program, which is awesome, which allows you to retain workers, and so you could set up a grant program, something like that.
One challenge with these grants is that it's not ongoing funding, it's just a one-time award.
Got it. But you have to wait all the way to end to get reimbursed, and that's a big issue. Yeah. So that's like farms and stuff can do so much more if they didn't have to be reimbursed. And instead went into I don't know, like escrow or something. These funds went to escrow and you can be pulled from. And so they're not in the farms accounts, they're in a separate individual escrow, and you can just be pulled for expenses and use. Like what's done in like real estate and stuff and 501c3s, that would be much more helpful than being able to, you have to spend $70,000 and then we'll send you $70,000. It's like that doesn't work for us because guess what, they don't have $70,000 sitting around. They could have be $500,000 business and have $70,000 like that.
That is demand for
It's a huge give the farmers the money.
Yeah,
More money. That's the best thing. It's not to do any of this reimbursement stuff. It's just
it's not within the state restrictions, we do have legislation that to give a perspective to require they can only pay for services so this is like a policy issue, but so when if you ever got to the right now or this one in future legislation that are if it's written into the legislation you have then those opportunities we funded it for them. So we're just like now we're on 12 hours policy and legislation.
You want to have grants be the most effectiveness, you do that, and you get them to the people who really need them. You can't already have the capacity and that kind of thing. That's how you really help.
Yeah, she's, we both work at
Oh, for like food hub?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That, I mean, it's 30, the food hub does deposits 30 days later. They have different terms set up with different vendors. Some of them are like 15 and some of them are 30. And so most of it's done electronically.
Yeah, so some like the online platform, like just general regular sales is at 15. Like special accounts, contracts, it's like we get it. So like pilot program, for example, right? And all the invoices back. and it'll come sometimes 3 years later, sometimes it's it's actually crazy fast for a federal. And then like the food hub at a certain scale just has like a chunk of cash that we need to maintain as like lifeblood. So like some of that. But that's why the online platform is 2 weeks shorter in general. So we just like top it off before we have to pay that. No, not at the moment. I think we do have the ability to, especially like from prior years and iterations.
But
we never use anything more than $25,000. But we have a
not just a farm, we're also a fund restoration.
haven't used
We
it.
have our licenses that
That was gonna go
potential
to
area for doing.
Yeah.
But,
I think the other thing with grants is I always find out about, I find out about
really
grants
cool.
like 3 hours before they do always,
and
and I
I was
apply
like,
for them
weirdly
then.
enough, I always like scrambling for pages.
Like the CFAP too, I figured out about that 3 hours before it was due and was managed to get everything done.
Sort of, took down her things.
I would probably learn about it through email that are the ones that are coming from
They're so
Puget Sound Food Hub and Farm Stand Local Foods and NABC, right? These are companies and, you know, but you get all sorts of emails and stuff from WSK this, WSK that, and this thing, and it's just also confusing and what, we don't apply to many grants because there's just the barrier of, we're not gonna get it, it's too much, do we figure out easily whether we qualify for this or not? And then we feel like we have to make up a project or something, you know, in order to get the funding when we're already doing the stuff that they wanna fund and they wanna support, and so that's kind of like, it's just, yeah, there's just these like little barriers that you that, you know, with this funding could actually really help us.
How could there possibly be like, oh, because there's just so much like decomposition that's like breathes so much life.
Yeah, and like who's this for? You know, like it's like, and there's these massive ones, and it's like these are set up for food hubs and distribution networks and all, and it's like this is, you know, 30-page document for you, and this is not for a small farm. It's just like, you know, having that kind of thinking, like, what's the income range for your farm? Do you do these things? Hey, guess what? You qualify for these 5 grants. This is when the deadlines are. This is how much required, and here's the, you know, when you get a piece of furniture from IKEA, it says tools needed, and it's got all the little things. It's like that's the like, I want that information when I go on a grant. I don't want to see, you know, all of the literature right off the bat. I want to know, is this possible, right? So it's like, can you apply for this grant? Here are all the information we're gonna need. We're gonna need the W-4. We're gonna need the last 3 years of tax returns. We're gonna, you know.
One day just like ran around.
It sounds like really, really simple, but this is like some of the barriers just for everyday farmers. Like, just want to know the meat and potatoes.
Bush that's just like driven over the side. The farm itself is like on the routine.
Those no, which one's that? Okay, cool, yeah, there's another one.
They're my favorite.
Oh, okay, great, thanks, yeah. Let me know if you're at the
3 hours for 3 days? That's
Yeah.
sounds good. Low barriers.
So,
You can probably do it on the phone.
Yeah, they do.
and I really
Yeah.
appreciate it
Yeah,
that
give me that.
they did vegetables.
That's on that list of
We did tell our
all the
veggies
producers
farmers
things that they want
and
to
that they
project.
took over.
Oh, okay. That's
I think you guys have
Oh,
done
and
this.
we great addition to guys have.
So,
One,
say Griffin sells $20,000 worth, or I guess $10,000 worth of apples
and two,
to
if you wanted to do like a project.
And later on, on Matt's I want to buy food hub and having to have apples. And I just remember he was selling it direct, but now the food hub's involved.
So they like, it's a year long
Because he already used up
they
all
work
$1,000
with
that
community
he
leaders throughout like
Because he used all
counties
$1,000
and yeah, doing all kinds of projects at different
for my
community sites, so like that could be a potential. And they bring in every month they bring in a different guest to like bridges about
This is weekly?
Or like it would be, it's like, you know, it's
Hopper.
it's like my
I picked it yesterday.
So they do 10,000 apples a year and 10,000 grapes a year.
no, sorry.
The number of
Yeah,
things that
so
are-
if we're gonna
Make
spend
the contract.
more than $10,000, so
Like,
they can purchase, if they're gonna purchase anything, information, any, that they have to follow the procedures.
So is it different allotments for, is it, imagine how much money they get depends on their student body size, right?
This is a little bit different.
Yeah, so like there's the like the source of the money and there's like how you spend it. And so this one we're just asking like they can have money but they can only spend it in certain ways. So like
They should be able to buy it through a distributor if it's source identified, they're buying from the farm, right?
For the grant, yes.
It just matters that it's source identified.
For the grant, but they still have to.
we recently made like a.
If it says direct to farmer and not through distribution, then it is good.
It has less, no, it's less, well, in general, it's like working on this stuff. They're spending over $10,000 on product. And we're super excited. Yeah, so we have procurement policy around
Make sure they're not just wasting money buying different farms. But that's something that food companies that they do if they're developing a school district, they're looking to spend $250,000 or more, they could get a formal bid from the food hub to be like, we use this many cases of onions, we use this many cases of potatoes, we use this many boxes of blue space lettuce, and the food hub can come back and say, this is what we can do, this is the price point, here's our formal bid for a 12-month period.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. And then, but then the district sets the criteria and tries to how they, and the district can be, they can do
So when did the districts have to choose the deadline?
So it depends on, every district is different.
Thank God we got a project manager for this stuff.
Yeah,
There's still a lot of things to do.
it's really just finding out the different districts. And then
From an individual. What if it's a distributor? So it's same for the 10,000, so they have to get 3 bids from, they have to get one from Charlie's, one from ABC, one from the food up, one from Fruit, spending $1 to $10 grand with the pizza. Blind produce, also from little farms, maybe less than $10,000.
I just got it.
Complicated. You guys could exchange business cards. I think that would be good. That'd be good. It's good to know because I don't feel like we're a part of this big process. School districts don't come to us and they're doing their yearly review and fit plus the
Well, that's what
produce.
table is the worst.
Well, I feel like that would be good and set up like product planning with farms to be able to know like, I'm gonna scale up to 40 cases of potatoes a week in September, October, but who farm's gonna do that? Who's gonna have it second?
We'll be providing like all of the stuff, and
It does sound like that.
Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to applying to the grant. Evan, thank you that grant.
Text me.
Yeah. What? I'm going this way.
I'm gonna read that
yeah, make it there, make it on site. Oh, we try to use
Well, and like to your point too, right, it's kind of on the food as I'm sorry, it's the but I don't expect it to be
and everyone has very specific
but yeah, I mean like, so you're gonna
I did have a question. Where do you stop? Is that at a district level that it is formalized, or is that at individual? That's what I was thinking, Ellie, but I didn't know if that was like part of the district.
Ding, 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 ding. Hello, everybody. I got caught up in discussion and forgot to give you a warning. This session is now officially over. It is officially lunchtime, and I would love to collect your evaluations as you walk out. We're allowed to Thank you so much. No worries, it was really nice.
But I want to give them what
They've done Thank you. Hey, so good to meet you. Thanks for tagging me. I'm just playing. You do videography. Is that you? Thanks. I love how these kids it's like weddings and cars. I was like, nice.
I need to work on that. What's this stuff?
Your interest clearly where the money is.
Well, I got to I don't know if like
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, that's what I was hearing about the social media system. I know there's companies that do this kind of healing, and I was just talking to a gentleman about that. But there's so much. Like, well, I was during these sessions, I do a little bit of lecturing for my community and stuff, and I was kind of curious to see what kind of system they have. But yeah, there's so much.
Bilingual, I mean, that's like
Yeah.
Here's my card, and then you can either grill those things or give them to your
Okay.
You kind of reached out.
Of course, yeah. Love to meet you. It was funny. I'm so glad we made the connection.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna eat lunch.
Yeah, yeah. Likewise.
We actually haven't done this before. We just worked this